Many blessings to all of you. I hope that you're doing wonderful. I felt inspired to do a little bit of sharing today uh, about the mystery teachings, but focusing a little bit on one of the star seeds, in specific, the Lumerians. I know that I've taken some time to talk about many of the star seeds that are part of this universal collective family um, for this ascension, right? We've spoken a little bit about the Pleiades some time ago, uh, the Syrians, and their role. And today I want to talk a little bit about the Lumerians. And that sacred inspiration came to me from a beloved student of mine who I've known and worked with for several years now. But about a month ago during a session, um, it was just divine timing, right? And it usually is how it occurs, where we can be open to learning, right? Or growing. And one day when you're ready, when your soul is ready, there's going to be what I call an activation of identifying, where you are ready, and or a mentor, teacher, guru who is working with you is going to be the channel by which your identification of a past life may come to surface, right? So what I want to say about that before I go with the actual experience of the student is our all in all goal should not be to be identified, and while it's very important and it becomes crucial to the evolution of our soul matrix, we should be mindful that the goal is not to be trying to figure out who we were, our names, our timelines, but more so, it is something that derives from your soul to remember certain lifetimes. Because if you do have a memory, and or if you're activated by a mentor, it is because that aspect of that lifetime plays a part, or will play a part, in this current timeline that you're having now. Yes, that makes sense, right? Um, because truthfully, we as evolved souls, or souls that are evolving but that have a memory of past lives, have had probably hundreds, if not more than hundreds, of different lifetimes, right? And timelines. And so imagine if we remembered everything, right? Or remembered a lot of those lives. Not only would it be very cumbersome to hold space for all of those memories, but it also can actually alter the current state of your timeline and purpose of where you are today. Yes? And so for that reason, again, this is my humble but bold sharing of philosophy as a teacher of the mystery teachings, that we're not going to remember, a lot, and that's not the goal, really. But if we do have a memory, if it has come to a time where a past life is coming into your forefront, or being channeled, activated by a teacher, then it's most likely because it's going to find a resonance, right? And so that was the case, and I want to use her as an example to talk a little bit about the Lumerians, the beautiful star seeds that they were and continue to be. About a month ago or so, after several years of working together, during a session, I had told this beloved that she was a Lumerian, and I knew that for quite some time. I just had not had the calling to share this insight with her. But during that session about a month ago, it was just divine timing, that she would recall who she was in one of her lifetimes, right? And so about a month goes by, and then I apologize for that sound, by the way. About a month ago goes by, and she reached out several days ago, really needing to have a session and a conversation. And what takes place is that she is sharing how completely devastated and heartbroken, soul broken she is, because there's a forest area, a very expansive forest area that is located where she lives, and they have begun to do, like demolition work around this area, cutting down trees to build a factory. And she couldn't explain the devastation, the loss, the physical, emotional, and spiritual pain that she was experiencing, right? To the point where she was literally experiencing the pain of the earth as it was being demolished, and just completely devastated, right? And so, of course, we spend some time speaking about that, and we can take a pause there and say, what do we do? What do we do as we observe that there are changes in the earth taking place, that as energy workers, as starseeds, that we feel, intensely in our energy space, in our hearts, right? We have to remind ourselves that there is many changes going on the earth, and yet we have to focus. Our focus should be in the new earth paradigm energy, right? Because right now, it seems or may seem like we're in alter realities, and we are, That's a whole different subject that we can delve in. But we are in alter realities, and what that means is that we can be experiencing and observing a reality, which we are in the old paradigm that is collapsed, right? While at the same time experiencing a higher dimensional reality, which is the new paradigm, where it is a much higher dimensional frequency, and because of that, our experiences are much lighter, much more joyous, right? In attunement and in purpose with the new vibrational energies and the earth. So, we have to be mindful, and even though we see and observe and experience that things are happening in the earth, one benefit that we can ask ourselves is, okay, is this occurring? Is my reality and experience occurring in this old paradigm structure that is collapsed, that has collapsed, and that many things will need to transpire, right? And not feel that the whole earth and the whole reality is based on this painful experience that you're observing as the old paradigm is falling apart, right? So that was one of the first things I told her was, where are you? Like, where in your reality? And yes, of course, the reality of where she's at is undergoing this demolition, which is very painful because it is part of the earth, but you need to take it somewhere else, right? And in talking about that, we delved in a little bit more into the Lumerian Starseed identification of who we are as Lumerians, for those who have a resonance. Lumerians are very ancient souls. We can call them in a roundabout way elders. And why we say that is because that's how ancient they are. There's never a right or wrong to any of these shares and teachings, but the Lumerians are indeed more ancient than the Atlanteans themselves. And so in many respects, the Lumerians are identified and or viewed as elders, ancient elders, right? When the Lumerian civilization was created, the goal and the intention of the time was to have this perfect creation that would be able to have the experience of what ultimately became the humans of the earth, right? And there was a purpose of how this civilization was going to unfold. What occurs with the Lumerians is that when they were created, they were extremely heart-based, as they continue to be, right? And although that is very beautiful, for the moment of the creation of the existence, right, for humanity and the earth plane of where it was thousands of years ago, the Lumerians didn't qualify to allow the civilization that they were looking at to have the full experience of what it would feel like to go from not knowing to knowingness, to being lost to being awakened, asleep and awakened, right? And why they were sort of disqualified was because they were so heart-based, right? And I know that it sounds paradoxical, and that's okay. But remember that there was a very specific goal that was intended for the creation that would become the human species, that would partake in the earth, Mother Earth experience, right? And so they did not qualify because they were so incredibly heart-based. Lumerians are incredibly heart-centered, and so they're very sensitive, to anything that is not heart-driven, right? One of the greatest things about Lumerians is that at the center base of their existence, there was no such thing as duality, right? There just wasn't. Everything was recorded during that time as a state of oneness. We all knew that we were all part of the collective one, right? Of the absolute. And so Lumerians who may be in this timeline now having as a starseed may find difficulties, have conflict in the duality that exists universally in this Mother Earth plane, whether it's that it exists in the old paradigm or that it exists in the new paradigm that's being created, right? So Lumerians hold a great field, of course, for the new paradigm in the new earth right now, because we are returning, of course, to oneness, to no duality, and Lumerians absolutely vibrate from that place of oneness, right? They're very empathic, and as I said earlier, seem to be very ultra sensitive to any harsh energies. So they tend to come from a place of harmony, of unity, right? That's how we can identify a Lumerian. They're usually very soft-spoken, love the arts. If they happen to be in this timeline, you can identify them as very artistic, very gravitated to music and sound. And why wouldn't they be? Because Lumerians are one of the holders of light, what we call light language, right? And light language is a language that's on a very high frequency tune, right? And so when we talk of megahertz music, right, that sound, and it could be instrumental, by the way. There's amazing metaphysical artists who play instruments as a form of creating a high megahertz light language music, right? So tuning forks, right? Drums, believe it or not, piano. And so the Lumerians are holders of a light language, and as such, can communicate that language in many different forms, right? It doesn't always have to be verbally with the voice, but it could be in many ways musically driven through an instrument or even the voice, right? Lyrics. One of the things that Lumerians are have been, will be, are, and will be in the future are also known for the Lumerian crystals, right? And there's a lot to say. Again, there's a lot of ancient history that's still available, and then there's also a lot of saturation, right? But one of the key factors of Lumerians is that they knew there was going to be a destruction. They knew that it was in divine order. But they also knew, like the Atlanteans, that this information, the Akashic records, the knowledge and the wisdom had to be preserved. And so the way that the Lumerians chose to record that knowledge, that wisdom, was through Lumerian stones, the crystal stones, right? Crystal points that are known as Lumerian stones. And the Lumerians knew that the crystals were so pure and organic that they were receptors. And so they used the crystals to actually record the wisdom and the knowledge and then preserve them. And so, many of the very ancient crystal stones that are found today that are Lumerian stones by nature do have incredible knowledge, wisdom, and contain codes that were preserved for the future, right? We continue to do that even now. There are many Lumerians here who are working to activate those codes that have existed for thousands of years, for this moment, for this ascension, for this awakening that we're undergoing. And as I said, much like the Atlanteans, who also use crystal stones points in a little bit of a different way, but it was to preserve the knowledge and the wisdom. By the way, there was a time where the Lumerians and Atlanteans were in coexistence for a period of time, where the Lumerians knew, as I said, that that civilization, as it was known, was going to be taken down, and the Atlanteans were already in place and ready. And for a short period of time, they did work together before the final fall of Lemuria and, of course, the rise of Atlantis, right? And so, am I forgetting anything here? There's a very deep resonance to then the pyramids and Lemuria. We may not hear about that a lot, but there definitely is a correlation to some of the amazing portals that we have around the world. And the Lumerians, again, they worked very closely with not only the pyramids, but with certain portals to be able to preserve this energy. And that's why they're called starseeds, of course. But we have many starseeds here in the galactic field. And so how does a Lumerian work today? I think it's important to remember the sensitivity that Lumerians innately carry in their DNA, and to learn how to become a little bit, more grounded in their structure so that they are not so impacted by the observation or the movement of many of the things that are occurring in the old paradigm structure, right? So to work with the solar plexus and actually the root chakra to become stronger, right? To become, to be able to be more expressive and not as vulnerable in the heart center as Lumerians can be, because they don't understand what duality means. Like they're so heart-based, as I said. Working with stones, with crystal points, Lumerian points is, of course, very important. It's a way to feed the Lumerian and the earth and all of humanity. So working with stones to almost like create a grid around yourself, right? Around yourself. Lumerians tend to be quiet. I don't want to say introverted, but sort of, not needing to be in the limelight, but more so to be the quiet whisperers that exist here. Very attuned to animals, extremely, because remember that everything was harmoniously in oneness in Lumeria, right? And so very connected to the flowers, to plants, to the animal kingdom, to the gods. And so it wouldn't be surprising for a Lumerian to have a deep resonance to shamanism, right? Because shamanism, of course, is a practice, a way of being to be connected very closely to Mother Earth, right? I have quite a number of students who happen to be of Lumerian descent, who are incredible shamans, and we have gone through the apprenticeship, and they continue to be incredible shamans with this beautiful Lumerian energy, right? And so I hope that this has brought you some knowledge, right? As I said, I feel like I'm going to go back and forth with certain subjects, sometimes honing in specifically on a starseed, on a mystery teaching practice, and then other times just being general about, how we can help ourselves as a collective in humanity, a subject, your vibration, how do you shift, there's so many subjects that we can cover. And so, of course, I'm going to ask you to not be shy if you are enjoying these videos, if you are enjoying the mystery teachings. Please don't be shy about it. Share your comments, your thoughts, and, of course, share the videos with others. I can't express enough how important, how helpful it could be if you took a moment to share, to like the videos, and to subscribe, right? Because again, these, they take a moment, but they can make a vast difference in the growth of the channel, that then can bring exposure to the many who are seeking right now, yes? And so thank you very much. Please take a moment. And I hope, as I said, that the mystery teachings of today, Lumerian, the Starseeds, has been helpful. If you have any questions or any comments about that, don't hesitate to contact me or leave it in the comments area in the video description. And I hope you have a great weekend, yes? And of course, never to forget, I love you so much. I leave you with my heart, with my love, with my light, and with my peace. I love you all so very much. Until I see you again, I love you.